Alrighty, welcome back to my channel, May Between the Pages. My name is Taylor, and today we are starting another Japan Life reading vlog. Now, just this morning, I had a live over on PL's channel for a deep dive for the third book in his series, the Drowned Kingdom Saga, Lord and King. I think this book is absolutely gorgeous. Unfortunately, I didn't get to start it as early as I wanted to because I usually like to really take my time with PL's prose because he has very elevated prose. Like, I have to look up words when I'm reading his books. I had to look up words multiple times in here, and I love it. I love that his writing challenges me in that way. So I usually like to take my time with this book, but I ended up reading this in like 3 days. And like, I just kind of like blew through it and had these marathon reading sessions. I tabbed the living shit out of it because if I'm going to talk about something, I take that seriously. I'm also so very lucky to be one of the first people who's going to get book 4, A Lion's Pride. I can't wait to get my grubby little hands on that. But just to talk about Lord and King, I don't want to do any spoilers, and at this point talking about characters at the third book in like an epic fantasy series, especially one with as many plot twists and political machinations that this has, giving away names and things like that, telling who's alive, that's not necessarily something I want to do. It'll have some spoilers in it, and the chat that I was in was also very spoilery, so if you haven't read this series, then I wouldn't go check out the chat yet. But I do highly recommend that you pick up the series and then go check out that chat because we have a deep dive for all 3 books. I'm waffling between 4 and 4.5 stars for this book because there were some elements of this that I absolutely adored. And like I said, the writing is this very elevated prose that I don't usually read often, which I very much enjoy. And the political machinations in this book are fantastic. Like, I am so intrigued, and all of the little plot threads that PL has woven through this series, even starting from the first book, some of them are starting to come to fruition, some are getting more complicated, like you don't know who's really an ally or not, and this is actually from a first-person perspective from a very, very flawed narrator. So you're aware that you're only getting the information that he is paying attention to or that he deems worthy, and there are some things where you're like, Othrin, please, for the love of God, please pay attention to this. Like, it's like a train wreck that you see coming. You know something's going to come back to bite him in the ass, or you know that he's not paying enough attention to something, and then lo and behold, there it is, right? So he's such a beautifully complicated, frustrating, in-depth character to read from. And then, yet there are moments where I think I said in the live where I found he's cute. I'm like, oh my God, that was so cute that when you did that, even though he's this big, powerful king, he's actually still quite young. And I don't know, PL's just done such an amazing job weaving the story through this point of view. Like, you know Othrin so well, and you just want to smack him upside the head sometimes, and then other times you're like, oh baby, you know, it's just, and sometimes you just want to murder him. Like, there's a lot of emotions. So I think that was just masterfully done. But the reason that this isn't quite 5 stars for me is because it's just of the way that I like to read and the type of stories that I like to read. This is written, even though it's from a first-person perspective, it's written from the king's perspective, like looking down on things. So he is not very intimately involved with a lot of situations. So we just get told that things happen, or told that something occurred, and then we get the reactions of that. But the way that I like to read is I like to be in that moment. So I wish that maybe Stuart had found a way to put Othrin in that situation, or in a couple of them, so I could have seen them more firsthand rather than just hear that they happened. But that's just something that I personally enjoy while I'm reading. Some people might not be bothered by that at all. I know Jenny Wirtz, who is also part of this chat, absolutely adores this series, and so for her, that's not an issue at all. Like, these are 5 stars for her. And she's a very highly praised and venerated author herself, so that's saying a lot. I just think for me personally, that's an element that I really enjoy when I'm reading, and there's not so much of that here. There are a couple situations that I can think of, but again, I don't want to give away any plot points or characters that are here, so I'll just leave it general, but that's the only thing that kept it from being a 5 stars for me. So I just finished this book last night and did the chat this morning, and so now I'm on to my next read, which is a SPFBO read, which is Of Deeds Most Valiant. I am in the first chapter right now, and I make it a point not to talk about these SPFBO books in depth on this channel until everything's released. over on Before We Go blog, which is where I'm a judge. So I want it to be released there first. But just general thoughts from this first chapter is I'm having so much fun with this book. I'm really enjoying like the past like 15 minutes that I read. So hopefully that continues. You can look for news about this book on Before We Go blog. We are nearing the end of the first round of the competition, so we are finishing up our last couple semifinalists and gonna pick our finalists soon, so you will hear a lot of announcements coming out in the near future. Okay, so I have since made an entire video about all of the SPFBO reads I did for SPFBO 8 and thus far in SPFBO 9 as a judge. We have chosen our finalist, which was Cold West by Clayton Snyder. Congratulations. But I do give more in-depth reviews and thoughts on all of my SPFBO reads in that most recent video, so I will have that linked down below. Besides that, on my Kindle, I am also working my way through the brick that is Brick and Bone. Before I picked up Lord and King for the live, that was my primary read. So after I do Of Deeds Most Valiant and we kind of wrap up what we're going to do for SPFBO, and the first round of reads is kind of settled, then I will go back to Of Brick and Bone being my main read. I do find that's a lot easier to read with a Kindle right now with Sumire, because sometimes I'm trying to get her to go to sleep and I've got her on one shoulder holding her with one arm, but it's got to be dark in the room, so I can't read from like a physical book. So having a Kindle where I can turn the light low, and have the black background and be able to read in that situation is really helpful. So I have a feeling that Brick and Bone is something that I'll work through quite quickly because, Kindle is the easiest for me at the moment. But I also really want to work through my physical TBR. Who doesn't? But with all of the beautiful broken binding editions that I've been getting, the proportion of books that I've read on my shelf to ones that I haven't is slowly but steadily increasing, and I feel like one day I'm going to look at my shelf and I'm going to have all these beautiful books that I haven't read yet. So I really do want to get on that. But we'll see. Reading special editions is something that I have to do where Spit Up won't get on it, where it's got to be a safe environment, so it's going to be a slow process. But I really, before the end of the year, I've got October, November, December left, I would really like to work on that a bit more. I say just after saying a Kindle is easier. I don't know. We'll see what I can do. Hoping to check in soon on my reading. I've actually done quite a bit of it, but I haven't been able to sit down and talk about it. But I just wanted to show my breakfast this morning. We've got peanut butter with a small banana and some cinnamon, some green tea, and these are leftover flowers from the 5-month photo shoot we did with Sumire. Okay, so hi. I'm not really sure how many days it's been since I checked in. Life's just been a bit bonkers, but I have a couple minutes here, so I wanted to sit down and fill you guys in. I think the last time I updated, I was reading Legacy of Brick and Bone and a SPFBO read. I finished my SPFBO read and have released my review, which is Of Deeds Most Valiant, and it was a cut for me, although I do think that it has an audience, so I'll be sure to link that review down below. And then after that, I was reading Legacy of Brick and Bone, and I did make some progress in that. I'm just over 41% now, I think. I'm finding that I'm actually really enjoying taking that book slow and soaking in up all of the little details, so I'm going to be slowly making progress throughout the next couple vlogs maybe with that book. And then I started reading the 4th book in A Drowned Kingdom, which is PL's book, PL Stewart's series. The 4th book, A Lion's Pride, is going to come out next year, but I am just so honored that he's asked me to read an advanced copy and give him a little blurb. So I have access now to that book, and I have a deadline for that one because I'm writing a blurb for it, so I had to prioritize that. So I did start reading that, and I am about, I think, 5% in one sitting, which, isn't bad for the little snippets of reading I've been able to do, between childcare recently. So I'll take that. So I started that, but then actually before I started that, see, my timeline's all messed up because it's been a while. I wanted to reread at least most of the novellas by Djeli Clark in preparation for the page chewing episode that we had with him. He's one of my favorite authors. I had already read everything in his Dead Djinn universe, but I hadn't read anything outside of that. And so I reread all of the novellas, including The Haunting of Tramcar 015, A Dead Djinn in Cairo, and The Angel of Khan El Khalili, I reread all 3 of those and adored them just as much as I did the first time through. I finally tabbed my physical copy of this because the first time I had this I consumed this via audio, and I loved it so much I bought it immediately after, but I hadn't reread it. So you can see there's an inordinate amount of tabs for this short novella, but I adore it. I love it so much. And after talking to Clark, I'm even more in love with this, just hearing him talk about it and the way he went about it. He is a master of short fiction. He truly, truly is. Unfortunately, A Dead Djinn in Cairo and The Angel of Khan El Khalili don't have physical editions. Otherwise, I would have scooped those up, because these little novellas are just, oh, they're so cute. I love holding them. This is one of my favorite books to hold. But another book that I did have time to read of his for the first time via audio was The Black God's Drums. And again, I loved it so much I got myself a physical copy right after finishing the audiobook. So this is my first Clark outside of the Dead Djinn world, and I adored this. It has lower reviews than his Dead Djinn stuff, so I thought, I kind of went into this with lower expectations, but it blew me out the water. I adored it. The humor between Creeper, who is our main character, and this captain that she meets is just so good. I laughed out loud so many times listening to this audiobook. And actually, like, Hayato couldn't see my headphones while I was cooking, and that's when I started laughing. He's like, "Are you okay? Like, what are you laughing at?" Because he couldn't see my headphones. He thought I was going crazy for a second there. So I haven't had time to tab this yet, but I definitely plan to, in the future, eventually reread this and tab it up just like I did this one. So I adored all of these rereads, and the page-turning episode was phenomenal. Dare I say, one of my favorites in recent memory. He's just such a delightful person to talk to, and such an intelligent man, and we just had such great conversations. And he's one of those people that's really easy to interview, because if you just give him a question and kind of let him run with it, he'll give you a lot of really interesting extra information that you wouldn't have expected from that question. So it was just a wonderful interview. I know PL had a great time as well, and I will be sure to have that linked down below. Please go check it out. It's definitely worth the time. But enough of me plugging my other things. What else have I been up to? So I reread all of those novellas. I then started A Lion's Pride. So currently, what am I reading? I'm reading A Lion's Pride. I'm reading Legacy of Brick and Bone, and I'm reading Cold West, which is another book for SPFBO. As you guys know, I don't really talk about SPFBO books until, it's already officially released on Before We Go blog, but what I'm reading currently right now for the SPFBO competition is Cold West. It's a short one, and I was really hoping to read it in one sitting, but Hayato actually got the flu. We love that for me. So, and him, bless his heart, he was running an extremely high fever, and was just, I know, right? Poor daddy. And so he's been stuck in his room, and so I've been taking care of her and him. Thankfully, my in-laws have been extremely helpful as well, as they always are. But I've been very busy because of that. So I've only read up to chapter 2 in Cold West so far. So I'm really hoping that tonight, after I get this one to bed, because she's cranky, if you can't hear. I know, you skipped your afternoon nap. Whose fault is that? Don't smile at me after screaming. Oh my goodness. So she's getting cranky. So we're gonna have a bath and get ready for bed, and hopefully when she's asleep, because I think she'll sleep well having skipped her nap, fingers crossed, then I can read Cold West tonight. So we're out getting ramen at our second favorite, maybe, ramen place, Ippudo. They have these spicy bean sprouts. That's like a table charge that you can have before the ramen, and they're really good. We're a big fan of these. We always eat them really quick before our ramen comes. But we haven't gone out to have ramen in a while, so we're excited for this one. So there are 2 types here. There is akamaru and shinomaru. And so this is kind of more standard Hakata flavor. So it's pork bone based broth, tongotsu. And I got a half-boiled egg in mine. So this is, like I said, more standard taste. When I go to Shinshin, this is the type that I get. And then this is akamaru, which has, I guess, more oil. Might be sesame oil or a spicy oil in it, garlic, and there's like a spicy paste that you mix into it. So Hayato got that one, and I cannot wait to eat it. I'm so hungry. Itadakimasu. Hey. So this is very much Fukuoka culture. It's called kaidama, where you get a refill of the noodles, just the noodles, to add to the sauce. And they bring out, it's very salty, like this ramen sauce. You put a little bit in here, and then you put this in here, and then you can have your second helping. But if you ask for it outside of Kyushu, I don't think places really... Is it Fukuoka or Kyushu?
Fukuoka.
Fukuoka, ne? So if you ask for it outside of Fukuoka, I'm not sure if you can get it, but... And then
my way is here, and mix a little bit, then absorb the sauce. Then taste the soup. It's a bit, weak, so add a little bit, like that.
I've never paid attention to how you do it.
Really?
Yeah. See, I can't do more than one serving. I always get full after my first round of noodles, so I'm still on my first one. But if he's hungry, he can do 2 or 3 kaidama, which I think is what we're going to do today because it's been a while. It's been quite some time since I have regularly filmed for a vlog. I do have some clips from when my family was in town. I had a bunch of cousins. I had my cousin and his wife visit, as well as my parents. And we did do some traveling around Japan, but I wasn't really focusing on making a vlog. I just kind of realized in certain moments, oh, this would be great to get for a vlog. So I did take some footage, but I don't really know where its home should be. I do have a Japan channel where I talk about my life in Japan. If you aren't aware, it's called Made in Transit. I'll have it linked below. I haven't made a video for that in a minute, but we're getting there. So basically, those clips would be more at home there, I think, but I didn't really set it up ahead of time to be part of a vlog. Oh my God, words. Part of a vlog, if that makes sense. And I do know that people that are on this channel are interested in my life in Japan, but I didn't read it all, so it like doesn't belong necessarily in a book thing. So what I'm gonna do is ask in the comments down below if you guys would be interested to see that on this channel. Maybe I'll insert it in a later reading vlog and just say, hey, these are places that I went when my family was in town. Or if you would, follow over to the other channel and maybe watch a vlog of, like, I can retroactively insert clips in between to explain where we were, things like that. If you'd be interested in watching just like a Japan focused video that has nothing to do with books. So let me know in the comments down below which one you would kind of prefer. I'm leaning towards the Japan focused video because it seems kind of silly to retroactively insert those into a reading vlog. Doesn't seem to make sense. But anyway, let me know in the comments down below. You're my audience, so it matters what you think, what you would prefer. So let me know. But I'm not going to insert those in this vlog. This is going to specifically be a reading vlog. This has kind of been the year of travel for my family. All the tickets that we bought before the panini happened all had to be used by this year, so that's why my cousins came this year. That's why I went to the States this year with Hayato's family, all of his family. Why my parents have come to Japan 3 times now in 1 year. It was just a lot of travel, and I think while it was absolutely wonderful and my heart is so warm and fulfilled seeing my family so much in 1 year, we're all pretty exhausted from the constant jet setting literally across the world. So for the rest of November and the month of December, I'm very much planning on just chilling out, just being here, being at the house, being with Sumire and Hayato, and capitalizing on just kind of relaxing a bit. Sumire is also 6 months now, just over 6 months, and she is a very active, excited baby. We love that for her. Not so much for me because she's gonna crawl soon, and I'm gonna be getting my cardio in outside the gym, taking care of her, keeping up with her. So we've got that on the horizon as well. But I'm gonna try to do as much reading in between chasing her around the house as I can. I also have been decorating the house for Christmas in the last couple days, so you can see little stockings and stuff behind us. And it's just so cozy in here. I've created like a little nook that wasn't there before I moved the couch over, so I'm right in the corner with the light. Oh my God, I can't wait to read there at night. So very much looking forward to that. But let's get into books. What am I reading right now? All right, son. Decided to grace us with your presence. It's been really overcast all day. That's nice. So what am I reading right now? Currently, I am reading Legacy of Brick and Bone, which is I've been reading for a very long time. I think even the last vlog I filmed way back when, I was reading that as well. This is an amazing book. I am now 53% of the way through. It is my main read that I'm finally making really decent progress. I read, I think, 12% the other day in like one sitting, so definitely plan to read this tonight. I have my mother-in-law coming to help take care of Sumire tonight. It's one of the nights during the week where I get some relief, which is exciting. So I plan to go hit the gym and then come home and read. Perfection, a perfect night. After I finish Brick and Bone, if you've watched my recent like pile of possibilities video, there were a shit ton of books on there because it's pile of possibilities. It's not necessarily a TBR. I wanted to give myself a lot of options, but I'm feeling something short after this because this is very much a chonker. So I'm looking for something short, something easy, something kind of like a palate cleanser. I'm thinking of doing The Cat Who Saved Books by Sosuke Natsukawa. This is short, it's sweet, it's got gigantic margins. I think I'll blow through this. It's about a boy who goes on a mission to save a bunch of books that are in peril, and this cat helps him do so. Just sounds cozy, sounds sweet, and it's beautiful. So I think this might be the one that I pick up next. We'll see. With that being said, though, I'm gonna go do the laundry and bring the plants that I watered in before it gets cold and dark. Okay, don't mind me being in my pajamas. I'm in my cozy little reading corner, and I am basically armed to the teeth with credit cards because The Fall by Ryan Cale is about to go on sale for The Broken Binding, and I'm part of their tier 1 subscription, so I get like early access, but they go real quick even in early access. So I'm like waiting to press refresh on this page and get it right away because you can also get the slipcases. They retroactively made a slipcase for the Of Blood and Fire edition that I have, and then The Fall will also come with a slipcase, or you can get it without it as well, but of course I'm gonna buy both because I'm a sucker for anything gilded, and they're gilded to the gods. Of Blood and Fire was a good book, but it didn't like blow me away so much. But then I read The Fall, and that book is phenomenal. It's a novella, and it's fantastic. Like Ryan kicked ass with that book. He was in his bag. So I haven't read the second full novel in the series, but if The Fall is anything to go by, I think I'm gonna love it going forward, so it's worth the investment. 1 minute until I refresh, so let's see. I'm ready. I don't know why I feel like I want both hands for this, but I do, so I'm gonna turn this off and I'll check back in after I get it. The goods have been secured within the first minute of sale. I do think that they actually reserve your number, like a matching number for the pre-sale, so maybe I didn't have to do it so quickly, but either way, I made the purchase, so yay! They're gonna look beautiful on my shelves. I can't wait to get it. The Fall is absolutely gorgeous. So this just means that I really hope that I love the rest of the series. But like I said, if The Fall is any indication, yeah, I think I'm gonna love the rest of it. But that was a little pricey, so I think maybe this is like my Christmas gift to myself. The Broken Binding just has way too much of my money at this point. They really just, they need to stop. They need to stop making good editions. This is the last one that I am slated to get from them besides the monthly subscription this year. So, but you know, the holidays are coming up. I bet you there's going to be like a million nice editions of books coming out, but I'm excited that I got it, and now I'm actually going to settle in and read. Actually, what a weird concept. I'm actually just going to read the books, not buy them. I'll check back in with you guys after I read a bit of Brick and Bone. Okay, so Crystal made me cry twice last night. I'm now at 61%, and in that like 9% that I read last night, I bawled my eyes out twice. So, Crystal, you're ruining my skincare routine. My eyes are going to be puffy regardless of how much eye cream I use while I'm reading this book, and I am upset. I need you to know that. So after I recovered from those scenes, like Saradwin saying to Ozra he's going to be glass, like, I'm gonna tear up again just talking about it. Oh my god, I just did my makeup. Let's not. Anyway, after those scenes, after I recovered, I read a little bit more and then I went to bed. I passed out. And then this little one decided to get up at 4:30 this morning. So it's been a morning, hasn't it? I used her nap to do my makeup because I do hope to film today. Fingers crossed that I can find time to do it before this face gets rubbed off from all the kisses. But I also really want to make a lot of progress in this today. I don't have any big plans. I do need to go food shopping and all of that, but you know, that won't take too much of the day, and plus I can read on the bus. So I'm hoping to get to at least 80% today. I really want to finish this by the end of November. And I don't think that's going to be an issue because once I sit down to read, I am sucked into this world completely. So I'm gonna go set up for filming. Hopefully you'll see a video coming out with this makeup, this look, and then you'll know I succeeded. But I'll check back in once I get more reading done. Okay, so I've only read about 2% more than when I checked in this morning. I also did start recording a video, but then Sumire woke up from her nap way earlier than she usually does in the middle of recording, so I had to go get her. Then a package came, and recording was a mess. So I'm gonna try to do a little bit more now, so we'll see how that works. Kasumide is now down for the night. But the package that came was a broken binding package, and I buy way too much from this company to know exactly what this is, but I'm 99.9% sure it is the November subscription box. So the first one in this series is Promise of Blood. I don't know what the series name is, but I love what they've done so far with it, where they printed directly on the book. I did not bring scissors over like a noob. I promise I've done an unboxing before. Can I do this without scissors? It's not that big of a deal to get up, I just really don't feel like it. I think I can. We did it! We did it, Joe! Without scissors. So I don't always, open these online. Some people do unboxings every time they get subscriptions. I do not, but when it lines up, I figure why not? So let's see, we've got our familiar outer packaging. The Broken Binding has only ever sent me one book that was damaged, and that was before they started doing their current packaging. Everything else makes it to Japan in pristine condition, so I gotta give them props for that. They know how to pack books. Let's see. Yes! Oh yeah, it's the Powder Mage trilogy. Yep, that's the full name. I knew that at one point. So here it is. Like a gift from oneself to oneself, always. So let's go ahead and open this up and see what it looks like. I have so many of these ribbons. And I keep them all as if I'm gonna do something with them one day. I should just throw some of them out. I don't know why I do that. Anyone else do that? Let me know in the comments down below. Woo! Oh, that is pretty. The Crimson Campaign. There's the spine and the back, which says, "The hounds at our heels will soon know we are lions." Sounds pretty epic, not gonna lie. We have, of course, the absolutely gorgeous sprayed edges, just block on top and bottom. But then these are stenciled. I'm assuming they're gonna make one full scene when they're put together. The other one's a bit too far away to get right now, but gorgeous. Just, the detail is amazing. Oh my goodness, hold on. The naked hardcover is printed directly on. It's really hard to see in this light. There's some of the detail. And it's wraparound. So to me, this looks like we've got some soldiers searching for someone, maybe a deserter, I don't know. And then we've got end papers here. beautifully printed on. Are the end papers different? Yes, they are. They usually are. And then as always, it is signed by the author. But now I'm going to go see if I can film a little bit more of my official video, kind of get in filming mode and see if I can get more of that done. And then after that, I'm gonna probably read. I have to do a little bit more Christmas decorating in the house, so I'll probably do a little bit more of that. But I definitely plan to read for the majority of the night because, like I said, I only got a couple more percent in. I think I'm like 64% now. So I got a lot more to go if I'm gonna make it to 80%, but we'll see. Anyway, check back in with you guys soon. So we just started a new puzzle. I'm focusing on finding the edges, okay? As you do when you start a puzzle. This man starts doing the easiest part of the puzzle while I'm focusing on this. And congratulating himself. And congratulating himself. No, you can't steal the easiest part when you are supposed to be working together to do the first step.
It's not working together. This is my work.
So basically, this is some bullshit.
Are you satisfied?
No, because you see how many more we have left to go through? I'm not doing that by myself. I need you guys.
Satisfied?
I need you guys to weigh in on this. Who's wrong here? There's only one correct answer, but
Are you?
I'll allow you guys the illusion of choice. Hey guys, it has been a minute since I've checked in. I think last time I said that I was going to read as much as I could of Brick and Bone and then check back in with you guys. It's several days later, and I have been reading as much as I can in between taking care of this little one. Yeah. And then last night, I finally made some huge progress. I am now at 90%. And when I tell you I stayed up until 2 a.m., knowing full well that I was not going to get a lot of sleep because of this one, I stayed up to 2 a.m. anyway reading this because I could not put it down. There were so many gripping and just insanely written fight scenes. I couldn't, like I said many times already, couldn't put it down for the life of me. So then I finally fell asleep while reading, and that was the end for me. But like I said, I'm 90% of the way in. This book is amazing. Bless Crystal's heart. I have been messaging her whenever I hit like a big moment, and I'm like, oh my God, with all of my predictions. And she has humored me the entire way through. This is definitely going to be one of my all-time favorite books for the year. It took me a good half the year to read. But I'm loving every second of it, and it's so good. Like, she is a master at character work. The only other person I could think of that's kind of on the same level would be Fonda Lee for me. So yeah, just obsessed. So I'm hoping today to read the last 10% of this. Sumire is just hanging out down there right now and seems to be fine playing on her own. So if she continues with this independent attitude all day, I might be able to get some of this read. I still have to do like laundry and dishes and all of those things, so I have to do those first. But if I still have time and she's still hanging out on her own, I'll see if I can read a good chunk of this. Also, the drink that you saw me making is like a latte. I don't have a milk frother, which I wish I did. It would make this 10 times better. But I am a basic fall bitch. That is not a secret. I'm very open about that. So I love pumpkin spice. And so when we were in the States in the fall, Hayato bought me the pumpkin spice coffee from Starbucks. And so I've basically use that as the base and then put some milk, as you saw, an inordinate amount of sugar. and some pumpkin pie spice and nutmeg and some cinnamon, and I've been enjoying that as my morning like latte. So that's what's in here, although it's cool now, of course. Drinking hot coffee is a luxury I haven't had for a long time as a teacher and a mom. It's cold coffee or it's nothing. Also, just before recording, I got a broken binding package, so I figured we would open this up together. I think actually in my last sit-down video, there was also a broken binding package, and that was Bookshops and Bone Dust, the prequel to Legends and Lattes, their special edition. Unfortunately, my stencil sprayed edges are really out of alignment, so I have messaged them to see if I could get a replacement. I haven't heard back yet, but I do have that book over there, waiting to see what to do with that. But I bet you that this is the third book in the Powder Mage trilogy. Oh no, this is a different one. Oh, this is a beautiful book. Oh, I'm so excited. This is The Will of the Many. Okay, so I knew I was going to read this book because Patrick and I have really, really similar tastes, and he was raving about this book and says it might be his top book of the year, which really sells it to me because, like I said, we have really, really similar tastes in reading. So I knew I was going to read it, but I was waiting to buy it. And then, of course, The Broken Binding was like, well, we have this absolutely stunning edition that we're releasing, and I was like, well, if I must. So here it is, like a present, always wrapped like a present. I'm actually going to use my phone to take a couple pictures of this for Instagram, and then I'm going to come back. So if the setup's a little different, that's why. Okay, so we are back from taking said pictures. All right, so here it is, the beautiful package itself. All right, now let's see what's inside. I know what it looks like, but I can't wait. It's so pretty. Whoop. If all you're trying to do is change who's in control, then you don't really want to change anything. That's what the back says. I love this. I know that this was a really polarizing cover. Some people really didn't like it. They thought that it was kind of boring. And it doesn't fit a lot of the Broken Bindings aesthetic, kind of, when they do covers. But something about this spoke to me. I love the color scheme. I love how simple it is. Look at that. Embossed, is that the word? What's the word I'm looking for? Someone tell me in the comments down below. Okay, then we have the sprayed edges. Gorgeous. These are perfectly centered, unlike Bookshops and Bone Dust. They very rarely have any issues like that, so I was kind of surprised when I saw it. It's so pretty! Look at that gold foil. There's the spine. Absolutely stunning. So it's the same on both sides. And then the dust jacket is reversible. So for those that didn't like the kind of simple cover, they do have the original color, just a different color scheme. I think it's blue and orange or something like that in the original, and they changed it to red. So you can flip it around and do this side instead. But I don't know, I like this one so much. I think I'm gonna keep that. This is an absolutely stunning book. Wow, that print is small. When I read this, it's gonna be a lot. I am one happy customer. This has all of the bells and whistles that you could want, you know, end papers, foiling, a double-sided dust jacket, you know, signed, numbered. Very, very happy customer. So I'll have to put this somewhere on my shelf. Where is the question? Also, those shelves are old, and you've probably noticed that they're all starting to bow. Like, you could probably see it behind me. I've had them for a long time, and I didn't think that we would be in this apartment as long as we have been. So I was like, oh, I'll just get the cheaper version and like not the Billy bookcases or whatever. And now I might be regretting that choice. I wonder if I could buy like separate inserts and just get ones that aren't bowing in the middle. I don't know. In the future, when Hayato and I decide on our forever home with this little one, I plan on investing in really nice shelves, but for now, these will have to do. Anyway, I'm rambling. Okay, this is not what this check-in was supposed to be about. So basically, a very happy customer, absolutely beautiful book, and I hope to try to read the last 10% of this. I also have to finally put the tree skirt on this tree because I think I must have thrown it out last year because I have found every other piece of decoration for the house except for the tree skirt. So finally purchased a new one. So I gotta put this on underneath. I know, exciting stuff. And finally we'll have our tree all set up and I can start putting presents under it for Sumiday's first Christmas. Yay. I used to be like, why do people buy stuff for, you know, 1-year-olds? They're not gonna remember. Now I get it. Now I get it because I'm gonna remember. So I'm gonna make it a special Christmas. Anyway, let me get off of here and actually do all that stuff that I was talking about. I'll check back in with you guys in a little bit. Honestly, the audacity of Crystal to write something this good and something that hurt me this much. I swear to God, almost no other book this year has gotten me in my feels as much as Brick and Bone did. I cried, I sobbed, I laughed, I gasped, I yelled out loud, like all of the emotions. I couldn't even keep them in because there were multiple times where Hayato looked at me like, you all right over there? And I'm like, no, like this, it's so good. I already have a full review of Legacy of the Brightwash, which is the first one in this series on my channel. So if you want to know more about the first book in the series, please go watch that. I still very much stand by that review. It is one of my all-time favorite books, and the second one just carried on that legacy. Crystal is an absolute master of character work. I feel like these are real people, and I know them to such a degree that I wouldn't be surprised if I met them walking down the street. And that would lead me to either give them a huge hug or punch them in the face, depending on which character we're talking about. Everyone is morally gray and makes decisions that track for their character, but maybe don't track, you know, for a normal person's moral compass. But you can see why they're making those choices. And I always think that it's an amazing indication of fantastic character work if a character can do something that you're like morally like, oh, ooh, that's icky, I don't like that, but you still understand why they do it and kind of want to root for them. This book is full of things like that. Also, there's a lot of violence in this book, but something that Motaro has always done really well is, even though she does include violence, it's not on every page. It only happens at certain like kind of crux points throughout the story, but she doesn't romanticize it at all. The violence is hard to read about. It is brutal. It is quick. It is vicious. And it kind of makes you cringe away from the page, which I think is what she wants it to do. You know, she doesn't want to romanticize violence. And a large theme in this series is is it worth trying to keep the peace in order to save lives, or is it worth that sacrifice? And she makes it very clear that that sacrifice, if it happens, is going to be brutal. As it's the second book in the series, I don't want to say, you know, who's in this name, any names, anything like that to give away who lives, who dies, what's going on here. But just general themes, this series seems to be written specifically for me. Like, it's crazy how much this book hits all of the niche points that I love. So like whiskey, really in-depth sense of place, morally gray characters, twisty politics, some really nice steamy sexy time scenes as well. Crystal's fantastic at writing that, not just violence, but she's very good at writing love as well. And then in this second installment, we get boxing. I've never done any boxing in an official capacity whatsoever, but my university had a boxing club. So I joined and I trained like a boxer for a while. Good Lord, it's painful. But it's gonna get you in shape if you want a regimen to get you in shape, train like a boxer. And I did do a couple sparring matches here and there with other people in the club, but I've never done anything official, nothing like that. I gained so much respect for the kind of mind-body connection you need to be good at that sport. So the fact that this second book included boxing as well, which Crystal also wrote amazingly, she must have done a lot of research or done it herself in the past, or talked to a lot of people who have, because it's so well written. I was transported to the boxing ring. My heart was beating fast. It's so good. I keep saying it's so good. You know when you love a book so much you can't really get the thoughts out? That's the level that this book is at with me. And I've said this before in my written review and also in other times that I've talked about this book, that it took me a good portion of the year to read, but that is because it is so well done. Because the themes of parenthood, motherhood, things that I've mentioned before are so visceral and well put on the page that they bleed into me when I'm reading it. And it was too much sometimes for me, especially as a new mom, because she really dives into the core of those themes. And that means that you're dealing with some really difficult issues. So I had to put this down many times because it was hitting too close to home, because it was so well written. So it's not a knock on this book at all that it took me the better part of the year to read. It's actually in its favor. Then after I sat with all of my feelings from Brick and Bone last night for a little while and just kind of process the story that I just read, I wanted something lighter to go to bed, you know, to read before I went to bed. And that is The Cat Who Saved Books. So I am now on page, I think it's like 15 or something like that. This is going to be a really quick read for me. I think it is adorable so far. The writing style, I saw a couple people say that they felt the writing style was a bit stilted, which could be due to translation. There are some Japanese words that are put in here that if you don't know the Japanese word, then it could miss some added nuance or some added context to it. But that's just the nature of translation. So far I'm loving this. The main character, I was like, this main character is gonna annoy the shit out of me because he's like a hikikomori high school boy. And it is a character flaw of mine, okay? I don't have a lot of patience for those type of characters. I really, really don't. Like Evangelion. What's his name? What's the main character's name of Evangelion? Now it's gonna bother me. Shunji? I think it's Shunji. I hate that character so much. I don't think you're supposed to like him. Well, some people maybe are supposed to connect with him in aspects of his character, but I don't think you're supposed to like him. But I hate him so much. Anyway, so I don't have a lot of sympathy to extend to those types of characters. So I was like, oh no. But then the cat got introduced, and we have a talking cat, which isn't surprising. The cat who saved books, right? And the cat just kind of gives it right back to him and tells him when he's being an idiot. And I think that duo might work for me. If we just had the main character, what's his name? Rintaro? Rintaro kana? Rintaro, yeah. If we just had Rintaro, this might be a tough read for me. But with the duo with the cat, and then they're about to go save some books that are apparently imprisoned, like I'm down. I'm down for this. So I'm hoping to finish this actually either today or tomorrow and then move on to another bigger read. I haven't decided what yet. I definitely want to do more of my physical books, so I'm eyeing up my shelf right now. We'll see. Maybe I'll do a poll, actually, and ask you guys what I should read after this one. I'll put some options out there. But yeah, so that's where I am reading-wise. Today, I just plan to do stuff around the house. I've got to make this little one some of her puree. So she started eating pureed food, or she started having her okayu rice porridge, homemade rice porridge a couple weeks ago, and she loves it. So now we're introducing other foods to her. She tried carrots. She's not sure about them. She doesn't spit them out, but she's like not sure if she's a fan or not. So we've tried for a couple days now, and she will eat them, but I wanted to try a little bit of fruit with her. So I think we're gonna make some homemade apple puree because her grandparents got us some really nice apples from Aomori Prefecture, which is famous for its apples essentially, and I think it's a good opportunity to make her puree out of some really sweet, nice apples. So my goal is to do that today, and then I have editing to do. I am halfway through editing my 1-star review video. Reading 1-star reviews of my favorite books, but there's a lot more kind of editing that needs to go into that video, so I might end up putting that up after this, depending on how many more check-ins I do. I think this vlog is actually getting a little long at this point, so I'll probably get this up first actually. Even though vlogs do take a lot of editing, I have more practice with doing them than what I'm doing with the other one. You don't need to know all these details. The point is, this vlog might come out first. But if you've made this far in the vlog already, let me know in the comments down below, what are you reading or what are you looking to read before the end of the year? Okay guys, it is finally time for me to check back in again. It is, I think, about a day later than the last clip that I had when I was reading The Cat Who Saved Books. I did finish this in that one day. So I guess that means this is 2 days later. Whatever. Whenever this is, it's been a little bit of time, and I did read this in one day. It was so much fun. Just a delightful little story about books for people who love books. You know, it's one of those books that's written for those of us who adore them. As you can see, I did tab it quite a bit. There are a few moments where I was really struck by the beauty of the writing, and I really liked the points that the author made in a lot of cases. I think it gives you a lot of food for thought. When I first talked about this book, I said that this type of main character is a bit difficult for me, kind of hikikomori, I don't care about anyone, teenage boy. I have a really hard time extending my some grace to those characters. But I do think that the author did a good job of showing the transformation of this character, and in the end, I was rooting for him. So that is saying a lot, I think. The only thing that kept this from being a 4.5 or 5-star range book for me was that there were a couple moments where the author seemed a bit snobbish towards like romance books or more modern literature, and really put up on a pedestal some of the classics, which, don't get me wrong, I love classics myself, and I do think that there is, you know, higher forms of literature, ones that are harder to read, take more of an effort to work through and have more layers to them, but that doesn't mean that there isn't merit in more modern literature or romance or things like that. And it felt like he was kind of saying that there isn't a merit to it at certain points, and that bothered me. But besides that one kind of gripe that I have, I do think this was just a delightful little read to enjoy when I took a walk with my daughter. I'll just read one little quote from it to give you an idea of the things that I enjoyed in here and to see, you know, if it might be for you. It says, "Don't hurt anyone, never bully people weaker than yourself, help those in need. Some would say that these rules are obvious, but the truth is, the obvious is no longer obvious in today's world. What's worse is that some people even ask why. They don't understand why they shouldn't hurt other people. It's not a simple thing to explain. It's not logical, but if they read books, they will understand. It's far more important than using logic to explain something. Human beings don't live alone, and a book is a way to show them that." I actually did a video about a year ago at this point called The Case for Diversity, and I talk about this exact thing in that video. So for me personally, that passage really struck a chord, but there are a lot of little you know, nuggets like that in this book. And while you could argue some of it is a bit on the head, a little bit too on the nose, I thought that it was really charming in its delivery. And a little talking animal sidekick is always a plus. Then after that, I was very much in a reading mood still, and the poll that I had put out both on Twitter and on YouTube asking you guys to help me pick my next read had just come back. And on Twitter, the one that won was Murder at Spindle Manor, which is a SPFBO9 finalist, but one that I have had my eye on even before that. And then on YouTube, the one that won was The Ninth Reign, which is perfect actually, because Murder at Spindle Manor is an ebook, and then The Ninth Reign is a physical book. So I can read this at night when I'm, you know, next to Hayato and don't want to wake him up with the lights, or when I'm out on a walk or whatever, and then I can read The Ninth Reign whenever I've got light abound. Although I'm not sure I'm going to do that because I started Murder at Spindle Manor and it is highly addictive. I read like 15% in one sitting and I could not put it down. So I have a feeling I'm going to blow through this one, but I do plan to make this one and The Ninth Reign my next two books, as those were the ones voted for. As you can tell thus far, Murder at Spindle Manor is fantastic. I love the setting. The sense of place is so good in this book. From page one, I was highlighting because I was like, I can completely imagine this place, this world, like that I've just been dropped into. Very impressive. And the characters are really well established already. And like I said, I'm only like 15% of the way through. So yeah, I think I'm going to be continuing with this one. The Ninth Reign may end up sucking me in once I start, just as this one did, but I can't put this one down right now. And actually, Esme warned me. She was like, yeah, once you start, you're not going to be able to stop. That's exactly how I feel. So for life updates, not reading, what did we do today? Hayato's off, so we did a lot of shopping that needed to be done. Lots of baby stuff and grocery shopping and just, you know, all that fun stuff. So we went shopping as a family and we decided to treat ourselves to some donuts on the way back. And I bought a couple of like specialty donuts that I thought you guys might like to see. Japan is really into limited edition stuff, so little pop-up shops that do limited edition like themed food You know, one of my favorite characters is Gudetama, and they have pop-up shops sometimes where the food looks like that character. And so, of course, Pokemon gets this treatment all the time. And Mr. Donuts is the name of a donut chain in Japan, very much like Dunkin' Donuts kind of in the States. And they often do those specialty things. And so we have 2 Pokemon themed donuts, and I thought they were adorable, so I thought you guys might like to see them on the channel. This one is, let me see if I can remember, I think this one is shoe cream, so like a light cream on the inside, and this one is chocolate and caramel cream, I think. And look, they even have little comments here to say you should hold it from right here so that they don't fall. It's so Japan. Hold it here, please. We have little Snorlax holders. It's adorable. So I was really excited to get these, but they smell incredibly sweet, as if they're marketed for kids. Who'd have thought these are marketed for kids? So I'll take a bite of each one while we're here and see how they taste, but I have a feeling they're going to be too sweet for me. Let's see, which one should we do first? Let's do Pikachu first, okay? Let's take one of his ears off. So that's what he looks like all the way around. Oh, almost dropped him. Itadakimasu. Well, there's no filling in the ears. It is sweet already. The icing's very sweet. But the chocolate's good. All right, let me take one more bite so I can get the inside part. That's actually not as sweet as it smells. So that is something that I really do like about Japanese sweets in general, including Mr. Donuts, is it's not as sweet as the States. And I find that when I go back to the States and have like a candy bar or even a donut from like Krispy Kreme or something like that, it's like I can feel it giving me cavities. It's ridiculous. So yeah, so actually that's quite pleasant. I think I'll enjoy that one if I don't drop it everywhere. And then let's try our Pokeball cream donut. Itadakimasu. Oh, that's interesting. Well, there's no filling in this one. So I just messed up completely on what's inside. Well, I was right about the Pikachu. I think this top part is either cherry or strawberry. It's a very strong flavor. The bottom one's just vanilla. So yeah, the top like sprinkles are a little too sweet for me, but the donut itself is quite yummy. Nothing to, you know, write home about, but very, very cute. As I said, Japan does this kind of stuff all the time. There's always seasonal stuff and special edition stuff like this. So if you guys are interested in seeing more of that, you know, let me know. Actually, I do have a Japan channel, so maybe I'll do that there. I actually mentioned earlier in this vlog, right, about how I'm not sure exactly what to put on the Japan channel vlog-wise, because I'd usually show little snippets here, which people say they really enjoy, but like, it could just go on the Japan channel. So I don't know if people would follow over. If you're interested in like watching me try things like this, you know, I would be open to that kind of content. I just don't know if any of my current audience would be interested. Anyway, just let me know in the comments down below. I think we're gonna do one more sit down check-in for this vlog, either when I make a lot of progress and or I finish Murder at Spindle Manor, which very well might be tonight since Hayat is home and he can help take care of Sumida if she wakes up. So yeah, I think this is very much gonna be happening. There's been a suspicious lack of food in this vlog. It's usually full of it, so I thought I would include a little bit in there, or in here, before we finish this vlog up. And this in here is Oden, which is a Japanese kind of stew. And you basically put whatever you like into the broth and let it simmer for a really, really long time. So Hayato made this broth last night, so it's been 24 hours with all these ingredients in it. We've got daikon and the Japanese radish. These little pouches are like the outside of fried tofu, and then the inside is mochi. You've got some fried tofu there. There's also eggs in here. I'm trying to see if I can, let's see, show you guys. It's kind of too deep for me to get in there, but there's some boiled eggs in there as well. Some Achilles tendon, cow Achilles tendon. It's not my favorite texture-wise, but it adds a lot to the broth, so Hayato likes to put that in there. There's just a whole bunch of stuff in there, and you can put whatever you want. I swear I'm good with words. I'm not right now. But I'm a big fan of it. It's huge in the winter months when you go to convenience stores. once the winter months hit, they'll always have some oden that you can get there. So, but I love the homemade stuff, of course, who doesn't? So I'll be having this for dinner tonight. Very much looking forward to it. Oh, and you often eat it with mustard. Sounds weird, but I promise it's very good. Here's what it looks like out of the pot. So I took one of everything except the Achilles tendon. So I've got some of the daikon, I've got konnyaku, which is like those miracle noodles, if you guys know what I'm talking about. It's that, but in like a different shape. The egg that I was talking about, some fried tofu, 2 types of fried tofu. So then this is the mustard that I was talking about. It's like a spicy mustard, and you just put it on the side and, you know, dip it in or dip whatever you're eating in it. It doesn't look very glamorous and it's all a lot, you know, the same color, but it is so like soul food. It is warm, comforting, cozy. I'm always a big fan of Oden when the season like rolls around. So, and I always ask Hayato to make his, so I'm gonna enjoy this. And then I have editing to do, and hopefully I'll get to some reading as well. I want to finish editing tonight, but I don't know if I will. I don't know. We'll see. I'll check back in with you guys soon. Okay, morning! Obviously, I lied about just one more check-in for this vlog because I have a couple books that I need to fit on my bookshelf, actually, and I thought I have time this morning, so let me go ahead and do that. So the 2 I need to fit are Bookshops and Bone Dust, the beautiful Broken Binding edition. Unfortunately, the edges are a little off-kilter, off-center, and I had emailed them and asked if I could get a replacement. They said this was a flaw that affected an entire print run, so they couldn't do a replacement book, but I got 10% off, so at least there's that. But I do have the matching Legends and Lattes edition. Also, the blue on here is very nice. I like the detail on this. I haven't read this yet, but I want to by the end of the year. I'm in the middle of reading Murder at Spindle Manor right now, and I am obsessed. I cannot put it down. But I think short, quicker books between the bigger ones are going to be the way to go for the end of the year. So I'm reading Murder at Spindle Manor now. Next is The Ninth Reign, as you guys voted for in the polls that I put on Twitter and on my community tab, but this might be the one that I pick up after that. So I need to fit this on my shelf. That was that was the point of all of that. And then also I have here The Will of the Many. I opened this in this vlog, I'm pretty sure. So you already know what all the, you know, special aspects of this book are, but I do want to fit this on my shelf somewhere. I love the setup of my top 2 shelves, which you don't see anymore in my sit-down filming videos, but it's like so many of my favorites, and I just like the way they're designed, so I haven't really been messing with those much. But the lower shelves really have a lot of beautiful books, but they're not like tippy-top favorites or ones that I've read yet. So I think I'm going to be messing with the lower part of the shelves for this, mostly. But I do have the Legends and Lattes book on the top 2 shelves, so I might shift a couple things around. We'll see. Okay, so for now, this is what I've decided to go with. I'm playing with having these 2 sprayed edges out instead of flip the other way, just for a pop of color, but I'm not sure if that pop of color really goes with the rest of the shelf, so I may end up flipping both of these back around. But I did have to take one book out of the top shelves to fit that in there, so I'll talk about that in a second. And then I've decided for The Will of the Many to put it down here for now. It doesn't quite, I don't know, I feel like it would match the vibes of this shelf better, but there isn't a similarly thick book that I can put over there. I guess I could move pillars of peace, but it wouldn't fit quite right. So I don't know. This is temporary. Also, this shouldn't be here. This should be up here. But anyway. So yeah, I guess this is just, it's temporary. I don't have that much energy this morning, but oh my God, that is so dusty. Good Lord. But that one's not. So clearly, oh, that's embarrassing. I need to clean my shelves, clearly. But anyway, so that's where we are right now. If I shift it again later, I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't know. It's kind of cute. All right, so the books that I have taken off my shelf in order to fit those two, the first one is Nevermore. I have the second and the third book in hardback on my shelves, and they're absolutely beautiful. I love this series to death, but I don't have this book in hardback yet, so it's the only one in paperback. Obviously, it had the shit out of it. One of my favorite middle grade series. And I don't like separating series at all, but this just doesn't really fit on the shelf with where the other two are. So for now, this is gonna go in the shelves in my bedroom. But I'd like to move it back out here as soon as possible because like I said, I really don't like separating series. Then this is the one that I moved for Bookshops and Bone Dust. This is 1,000 Beginnings and Endings, a short story collection of different stories based on mythology from different parts of Asia, and they're all own voices stories, and I liked this so much more than I expected. I picked this up years ago and I still think about it. So I'm kind of sad to move this off my shelf. I would like, again, to shift this back out here at some point when I have a bit more energy to really, you know, shift the whole shelf around. So maybe it'll happen at some point, but for now, going into the bedroom shelves. In a very similar vein, this was laying sideways on one of the bottom shelves because this little one is going to be crawling very soon. I don't want anything extra down there. So this is a book by Dessa, who's one of my favorite music artists. She's a rapper and extremely intelligent. So she wrote this little memoir about her life. I have it signed. Oh no, I just dropped the thing. I have it signed from my parents because they also enjoy her music and went to one of her concerts. So it's personalized and signed for Taylor, and I love it so much. Just dropped the same, just dropped the sticker again. But this is one of my prized possessions. So again, there's no really room for it here, but we'll see if I can shift it back out in a rotation at some point. And finally, these were where I ended up putting The Will of the Many, which is the first and the second in the Powder Mage trilogy from the Broken Binding. They have beautiful sprayed edges here. And I really do like the way that these look on the shelves, very dark and like aesthetic, in my opinion. But there isn't really a spot where these kind of fit right now. So I'm gonna put these again in the bedroom. Oh, the struggle of having too many beautiful books. I mean, what a wonderful struggle to have, but I am playing musical chairs with my shelves now. I'm gonna make myself some lunch, and she seems pretty happy to be just moving around, scooching around on the floor with all of her toys right now. So she's continues to be content doing that. I'll try to get some reading done while I eat my lunch, some more of a Murder at Spindle Manor, and I'll check back in with you guys a bit later today. And that check-in should be the last one. I'm gonna make it the last one because this vlog is way too long, as I acknowledged a couple check-ins ago, and I really need to finish it up. So whether I finish Murder at Spindle Manor or not, my next check-in will be the last one, and that'll be later today. We haven't done an outside update in a hot minute. It is chilly today, but definitely not as cold as it should be for December, which just, I'm like glad that I can film this outside, but also I'm like sad. Like I should be freezing my ass off out here. Anyway, so I did finish Murder at Spindle Manor a couple days ago. Ironically, I was trying to finish filming kind of in that day, and then I did finish reading the book that day, but then I didn't get around to filming this until a couple days later. Anyone who makes vlogs knows how that goes. Some days you're on it, and some days you're just not. So this is going to be the last check-in for this vlog finally. Murder at Spindle Manor is a SPFBO9 book, so I don't like to say my thoughts usually before they are released, but I will just say in a personal capacity, so no reflection on how this book will do within the other 10 finalists when everyone, you know, votes. For me personally, I had a blast with this book. I couldn't put it down. I blew through it. It was fantastic. I had such a good time with it. So I'll talk about more details, and I'll give more details in my review that goes up on Before We Go vlog eventually, but just overall thoughts, absolutely loved it, had a fantastic time with it, so definitely deserves to be in the SPFBO finalists. Which means that I have been available to pick up another book for the last like 2 days, and I haven't. I started watching a new K-drama, so love that I'm being productive with my free time. But today is one of the days where my mother-in-law is here for childcare. So I plan to pick up The Ninth Reign, which I think I mentioned earlier in this vlog is the next book on my list. I'm not going to be going to the gym today, so I'm actually going to be spending time at home filming and reading. That's my goal. Not filming, editing and reading. So hopefully I can get this out to you guys real soon. If you've watched this whole vlog, which I'm not exactly sure how long it is, but I know I've been making it for a while, so thank you for sticking around. And there wasn't as much food as there usually is, but I would really love feedback from you guys about the Japanese clips I mentioned in the beginning of this. If you'd like to see it kind of in this format, or if you guys would be willing to hop over to the other channel to see more specifically Japan-based stuff. Let me know. I'd love to hear that feedback. I hope everyone has had a wonderful holiday season so far. Thanks for taking time out of this busy time of the year to watch this video, and I'd love to chat with you guys in the comments down below about anything, really. Let me know what's up in your life. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click that bell. I'd love to have you as part of this community, and I appreciate it. But for now, I'm gonna head out. Johnny!